everything. Before the world ever applauds your success, it quietly tests your character. Long before recognition, wealth, or achievement arrive, life asks a far more important question. Everything. Who are you becoming when no one is watching? Success built without character collapses under pressure, but success built on integrity, discipline, and inner strength endures. Everything. This audiobook is about forging the kind of character that can carry success without being destroyed by it, so when opportunity finally meets you, you are ready to hold it, lead with it, everything, and grow through it. Most people believe opportunity is something you find. That if you search long enough, hustle hard enough, or wait patiently enough, one day the door will finally open. Everything. But what life actually does is far more subtle and far more demanding. Life doesn't ask first what you want. It asks who you are becoming. And before it hands you opportunity, everything, it studies your character in silence. Character is not built when things are easy. It is built when nothing seems to be happening, when effort goes unnoticed, when results are slow, everything, when no one is clapping. Those seasons are not delays, they are preparation. Life is shaping you internally long before it rewards you externally, everything. Because success without character doesn't last, and success without inner strength often becomes a burden rather than a blessing. Everything. Think about how often people say they are ready for success, yet struggle to show up on time, keep promises, or manage their emotions under pressure. They want the reward, everything, but they haven't built the reliability to sustain it. Life understands this. That's why opportunity is rarely handed to potential alone. It is handed to proven character, everything. You see this everywhere if you pay attention. The person who wants leadership but avoids responsibility. The entrepreneur who wants freedom but can't handle discipline. Everything. The dreamer who wants recognition but resents consistency. Life watches these patterns quietly, not to punish but to protect. Because if opportunity arrives too early, everything. Before character is ready, it often destroys confidence instead of building it. Character is what you practice when no one is grading you. It's how you respond to inconvenience, everything. How you treat people who cannot offer you anything. How you handle frustration when plans fall apart. These moments feel small, almost invisible, everything. Yet they are the exact moments life uses to measure readiness. There is a story repeated in countless forms across real life. Someone works behind the scenes for years, refining their skills, everything. Learning patience, building habits that no one celebrates. Then one day, from the outside, it looks like overnight success. People call it luck, but luck was never the cause. Character was, everything. Consider the person who keeps improving even when their effort isn't recognized. Who learns instead of complaining? Who takes responsibility instead of blaming circumstances? Everything. That person may feel unnoticed, but they are becoming internally strong. They are learning self-trust, and self-trust is one of the rarest forms of confidence in the world. Everything. Chasing results without building character is like trying to drive fast without learning how to steer. At some point, speed becomes dangerous. Character is what gives direction to momentum. Everything. Without it, success magnifies flaws instead of strengths. Life often withholds opportunity not because you are unworthy, but because you are unfinished, and that can be hard to accept. Everything. Especially in a world obsessed with quick wins and visible milestones. But the most meaningful preparation happens quietly. It happens in discipline, in patience, everything, in choosing growth over comfort. Ask yourself honestly how you behave when no one is watching, how you handle boredom, how you react when things don't go your way, everything, how you speak to yourself after failure. These are not minor details. They are the foundation of who you will be when opportunity finally arrives. Everything. One of the biggest shifts a person can make is moving from asking, "When will my chance come?" to asking, "Who am I becoming right now?" Because opportunity doesn't change you, everything. It reveals you. And what it reveals is what you've been practicing all along. There are people who get exactly what they wanted and then lose it, not because they lacked talent, everything, but because they lack grounding. Success amplified impatience, ego, insecurity, or fear that was already there. Character acts as a stabilizer, everything. It allows you to grow without losing yourself. Building character means learning to do what is necessary, not what is exciting. It means showing up consistently, even when motivation fades. Everything. It means choosing long-term respect over short-term validation. These choices are not glamorous, but they are powerful. You don't wake up one day with strong character. Everything. You earn it through repetition, through small, often uncomfortable decisions made daily, through choosing honesty when shortcuts are available. Everything. through choosing responsibility when excuses feel easier. Think of character as internal infrastructure. You don't see it when things are working smoothly, but when pressure hits, everything. It determines whether everything collapses or holds firm. Life applies pressure intentionally, not to break you, but to strengthen the structure. When you feel stuck, overlooked, or delayed, everything. It's tempting to assume something is wrong, but often nothing is wrong. You are being shaped. You are learning patience, resilience, and focus. These traits are not taught through success. Everything. They are taught through waiting. Opportunity tests character, but character is built before the test. That's why preparation often feels repetitive and unrewarding. Everything. That's why it requires faith in the process rather than excitement in the moment. One practical way to build character is to keep promises to yourself. Small ones. Simple ones. Everything. Wake up when you said you would. Finish what you start. Follow through even when no one would notice if you didn't. These actions build self-respect, and self-respect becomes confidence. Everything. Another is to take responsibility for your reactions. You cannot control every outcome, but you can control how you respond. Choosing calm over chaos, learning over resentment. Everything, effort over excuse. These responses compound quietly over time. Character also grows when you stop comparing your timeline to others. Comparison shifts focus outward. Everything. While character is built inward. The moment you stop racing and start refining, progress becomes deeper and more sustainable. Life is not in a hurry because it is building something durable. Everything. And durability takes time. It takes repetition. It takes moments where nothing seems to be happening, yet everything is happening beneath the surface. When opportunity finally appears, everything, it rarely announces itself. It often arrives disguised as responsibility, pressure, or risk. Those with character recognize it not as a threat, but as a test they've been preparing for. Everything. You don't need to chase opportunity aggressively. You need to become the kind of person opportunity naturally aligns with. Strong habits attract responsibility. Everything. Emotional maturity attracts trust. Consistency attracts growth. Character before opportunity is not a delay, it is a design. A design meant to ensure that when success comes, everything. It adds to your life instead of taking from it. That it strengthens you rather than exposes you. That it becomes something you can carry forward with clarity, humility, and control. Everything. And in the quiet moments, when it feels like progress is invisible, remember this life is watching how you show up long before it decides what to give you. Everything. There comes a moment in every meaningful journey when motivation quietly disappears. The excitement fades, the energy dips, and the reasons that once felt urgent suddenly feel distant. Everything. This is not failure. This is not weakness. This is the exact point where character begins to form. Discipline is not born on days when you feel inspired. Everything. It is built on the days when you feel tired, discouraged, or simply uninterested, and you choose to act anyway. Most people misunderstand discipline. Everything. They believe it is about forcing yourself, punishing yourself, or living without joy. In reality, discipline is self-respect in motion. It is the decision to keep promises to yourself. Everything. Especially when breaking them would be easier. Motivation is emotional. It comes and goes like the weather. Discipline is structural. It stays when emotions leave. Everything. And the people who succeed consistently are not the most motivated, they are the most disciplined. Think about how identity is formed. You don't become reliable because you say you are. Everything. You become reliable because you show up repeatedly, even when you don't want to. Every small action taken without motivation sends a quiet message to your mind, I can be trusted. Over time, everything. That message becomes belief, and belief becomes character. Imagine two people starting the same goal. Both are excited in the beginning. Both feel inspired. Both talk about their vision. Everything. But a few weeks later, one waits to feel motivated again, while the other continues out of discipline. Months later, their lives look completely different. Not because one was more talented, everything, but because one learned how to move without emotional permission. Discipline is what turns effort into identity. When you act consistently, even imperfectly, everything, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop asking, do I feel like it? And start asking, what does the person I'm becoming do in this moment? That shift is powerful. Everything. It removes drama from action. It replaces mood with commitment. There will be days when discipline feels boring, days when progress feels invisible. Everything. Days when it seems like nothing is changing. These are the most important days, because character is not shaped in intensity, it is shaped in repetition. Every disciplined action is a brick. Everything. One brick doesn't look impressive, but over time they form a structure strong enough to support success. Consider the person who wakes up early to train when no one is watching, everything. Or the student who studies consistently instead of cramming. Or the entrepreneur who works on their craft even when results are slow. These people are not heroic in the moment, everything. They are ordinary, but their discipline compounds quietly, and one day it looks extraordinary from the outside. Discipline also creates emotional stability. When you rely on motivation, everything. Your confidence rises and falls with your feelings. But when you rely on discipline, your confidence comes from knowing you will act regardless of how you feel. That knowledge creates calm, everything. It creates self-respect. You stop doubting yourself because your behavior has proven your reliability. One of the most practical ways to build discipline is to reduce decision-making. Everything. Decide in advance what you do on hard days. Decide your non-negotiables. When the moment comes, don't debate, just execute. Discipline thrives in simplicity. The fewer excuses you allow, everything, the stronger your follow-through becomes. Another powerful practice is focusing on minimum standards rather than perfect performance. Discipline does not require intensity every day. Everything. It requires consistency. Showing up at 50% is still showing up. Doing something is always better than doing nothing. This mindset removes pressure and keeps momentum alive. Everything. It's also important to understand that discipline strengthens emotional control. When you act despite discomfort, you train your nervous system to tolerate resistance. Everything. You stop running from discomfort and start moving through it. Over time, discomfort loses its power. You become harder to shake, less reactive, more grounded. Everything. Many people wait for confidence before acting. Discipline flips that equation. Action creates confidence. Every disciplined step forward reinforces the belief that you can rely on yourself. Everything. And self-trust is one of the strongest foundations of character. Without it, success feels fragile. With it, success feels stable. There will be moments when discipline feels lonely. Everything. When others are resting, quitting, or choosing comfort. In those moments, remember that discipline often isolates before it elevates. You are not missing out. Everything. You are building something invisible that will later become undeniable. Discipline is also deeply connected to self-respect. Every time you follow through, you reinforce your worth. Everything. Every time you quit because it's hard, you weaken it. This isn't about guilt. It's about alignment. When your actions match your values, you feel whole. When they don't, tension grows. Everything. The goal is not to become rigid or joyless. The goal is to become dependable. Someone who doesn't collapse under pressure. Someone whose word carries weight, even to themselves. Everything. That is the kind of character success requires. Because success brings stress, responsibility, and visibility. Without discipline, those things overwhelm you. With discipline, everything, they refine you. On difficult days, lower the emotional noise and return to structure. Ask simple questions. What is the next right action? Everything. What does discipline look like for the next 10 minutes? Character is not built in grand gestures. It is built in small decisions repeated daily. Discipline is quiet. Everything. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't demand recognition. But it changes everything. It turns potential into progress. It turns dreams into habits. It turns effort into identity. Everything. And over time, something remarkable happens. You stop needing motivation. Action becomes automatic. Responsibility becomes natural. You don't feel heroic. You feel steady. Everything. And that steadiness becomes your strength. This is how character is built before success arrives. Not through intensity, but through consistency. Not through emotion, but through commitment. Everything. Not through waiting, but through doing, especially when motivation fades. Integrity is not tested when the lights are on and people are watching. It is tested in the quiet, ordinary, everything. Often invisible moments of life when there is no applause to earn, no reputation to protect, and no immediate reward to gain. These moments rarely feel dramatic. Everything. They show up as small choices, subtle decisions, and private behaviors that seem insignificant at the time. Yet, these are the moments where character is either strengthened or quietly eroded. Everything. Imagine a person who works late after everyone has gone home. No supervisor is present. No one would notice if they cut corners, leave early, or do the bare minimum. In that silence, everything. A decision is made, not a loud one, not a heroic one. Just a simple choice to do what is right or what is easy. Over time, those choices become habits. Those habits become identity. Everything. And that identity eventually determines the level of trust life places in you. Integrity is not about perfection. It is about alignment. Everything. Between what you say you value and how you behave when no one is checking. It is about closing the gap between public image and private reality. Many people focus on appearing strong, honest, everything, or reliable, but far fewer focus on being those things in solitude. Yet life does not reward appearances for long. It rewards consistency. It rewards congruence. Everything. It rewards people whose inner compass works even when there is no external pressure guiding them. Think about how trust is built in the real world. Everything. Trust is rarely established through grand gestures. It is built through repetition, showing up when you said you would, telling the truth even when it is uncomfortable. Everything. Taking responsibility instead of shifting blame. These actions might not bring immediate praise, but they create something far more valuable: credibility. And credibility compounds quietly. Everything. Like interest in a well-managed account. There is a story many people can relate to, even if they have never spoken it out loud. Everything. A student tempted to cheat on an exam because the opportunity presents itself. An employee considering whether to take credit for someone else's work. Everything. A business owner deciding whether to cut ethical corners to increase short-term profit. In each case, there is a moment where no one seems to be watching closely. Everything. The consequences feel distant. The justification sounds reasonable. Everyone does it. It doesn't really hurt anyone. I deserve this. These thoughts are not signs of evil. Everything. They are signs of being human. But character is revealed in how you respond to them. What makes integrity powerful is not that it is always rewarded immediately. Everything. But that it shapes who you become. When you choose honesty in a small moment, something inside you solidifies. You begin to trust yourself. Everything. You begin to see yourself as someone who can be relied upon. That internal trust becomes the foundation for confidence that does not depend on approval. Everything. You no longer need constant validation because you know who you are when the room is empty. Accountability is a close companion to integrity. It means owning your actions fully, everything, without excuses or deflection. When something goes wrong, the easy path is to explain it away, to point outward, to protect your ego. The stronger path is to say, everything. This was my responsibility. That sentence is uncomfortable, but it is also liberating. It gives you back control. It turns mistakes into teachers instead of burdens. Everything. Many people fear accountability because they associate it with punishment. But in reality, accountability is what allows growth. When you take ownership, you gain clarity. Everything. When you gain clarity, you gain the ability to change. Over time, people who consistently take responsibility become leaders, whether they seek leadership or not. Everything. Others feel safe around them, trust them, rely on them. Not because they are flawless, but because they are honest. Ethical choices often feel costly in the moment. You may lose an advantage. Everything. You may disappoint someone. You may walk away from an opportunity that conflicts with your values. But what is rarely discussed is the hidden cost of unethical choices. Everything. Every time you compromise your values, you weaken your self-respect. You teach yourself that your principles are negotiable. That inner erosion does not stay hidden forever. Everything. It shows up as anxiety, insecurity, and the constant fear of being exposed. On the other hand, ethical consistency creates inner stability. When your actions align with your values, everything. You sleep better, you think more clearly. You are not carrying the mental weight of pretending or hiding. This stability becomes especially important as success grows. Everything. The more responsibility you carry, the more pressure you face, and the more tempting shortcuts become. Without a strong foundation of integrity, success amplifies weakness. With integrity, everything. Success amplifies strength. There is a quiet pride that comes from doing the right thing without witnesses. It is not loud, it does not demand recognition, but it is deeply nourishing. Everything. It builds a sense of self-worth that cannot be taken away by criticism or failure. This kind of pride does not inflate the ego, it anchors the soul. Everything. It reminds you that your value is not dependent on outcomes, but on principles. One practical way to strengthen integrity is to become intentional about your private standards. Everything. Decide in advance what you will and will not tolerate from yourself. Not based on what others expect, but on what allows you to respect yourself. Ask simple but powerful questions. Everything. Would I be comfortable if this choice became a habit? Would I be proud of this decision if it were revealed later? Does this align with the person I am trying to become? Everything. Another practice is to slow down in moments of temptation. Most integrity failures happen in haste. Pausing creates space for awareness. In that pause, everything. You often recognize that the short-term gain is not worth the long-term cost. You remember that character is not built in dramatic leaps, but in these quiet seconds of conscious choice. Everything. Surrounding yourself with people who value integrity also matters. Not people who talk about it, but people who live it. Everything. Their presence reinforces your standards and makes ethical behavior feel normal rather than exceptional. At the same time, learn to be your own witness. Everything. Even when no one else sees your effort, acknowledge it internally. Let yourself feel the quiet satisfaction of staying aligned. Over time, something remarkable happens. Everything. The invisible moments begin to shape visible outcomes. People start trusting you with more responsibility. Opportunities arise not because you chased them, everything, but because your reputation traveled ahead of you. And when challenges come, as they always do, you face them with a steadiness that others admire but may not fully understand. Everything. Integrity does not guarantee an easy life. It guarantees a solid one. A life where your inner world supports your outer ambitions. A life where success, when it arrives, everything, has something strong to stand on. And it all begins in those moments no one posts about, no one applauds, and no one rewards immediately. The moments where you choose who you are becoming. Everything. Pressure has a way of revealing what lies beneath the surface. When life is calm, almost anyone can appear confident, kind, and composed. But when expectations rise, when time is short, everything, when money is tight, when criticism cuts deep, or when plans fall apart, emotions surge to the front. Anger demands release. Fear tightens the chest. Ego feels threatened. Everything. Disappointment whispers that maybe you are not enough. Emotional control under pressure is not about suppressing these feelings or pretending they do not exist. Everything. It is about learning how to experience them without being ruled by them. This is where character is either strengthened or exposed. Think about the moments that changed how you see someone. Everything. Rarely is it when things went perfectly. More often, it is how they reacted when something went wrong. The leader who stayed calm while everyone else panicked. Everything. The parent who responded with patience instead of anger. The colleague who took responsibility instead of blaming others. In those moments, emotional maturity becomes visible. Everything. It is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, grounded, and quietly powerful. Anger is often the first emotion to surface under pressure. It feels justified, even useful. Everything. It can feel like strength. But anger, when unchecked, narrows your thinking. It pushes you to react instead of respond. Everything. Many people look back at their biggest regrets and realize they were born in moments of anger. Words spoken too quickly. Decisions made too harshly. Everything. Bridges burned that never needed to collapse. Emotional control does not mean you never feel anger. It means you pause long enough to choose what you do with it. Everything. You let it inform you without letting it control you. Imagine someone stuck in traffic, already late for an important meeting. The pressure builds. Horns blare. The body tenses. Everything. One person explodes, shouting at strangers, arriving even more stressed and distracted. Another takes a breath, accepts the delay, and focuses on what can still be controlled. Everything. Both faced the same situation. Only one protected their inner state. Over time, these small moments compound into very different lives. Fear is more subtle but just as powerful. Everything. Under pressure, fear often disguises itself as hesitation, avoidance, or overthinking. Fear asks, what if you fail? What if you look foolish? What if you lose what you have? Everything. It tightens your grip on comfort and convinces you to play small. Emotional maturity does not eliminate fear. It teaches you how to move forward with fear present. Everything. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision that fear will not be the final authority. Consider someone who is given a chance they have been waiting for. A promotion. Everything. A new project, a public opportunity. Pressure rises immediately. The fear of messing it up becomes overwhelming. One person pulls back, delays, or declines. Everything. Telling themselves they are not ready. Another acknowledges the fear, prepares as best as they can, and steps forward anyway. Both felt fear. Only one allowed it to shape their future. Everything. Ego is another emotion that becomes loud under pressure. Ego wants to be right, respected, admired, and in control. When ego is threatened, defensiveness appears. Everything. Feedback feels like an attack. Mistakes feel unbearable. Emotional control requires the humility to separate your worth from your performance. You can be a valuable person and still be wrong. Everything. You can be learning and still be strong. The moment ego loosens its grip, growth accelerates. Think of a time you received criticism. Not the kind that was cruel, everything, but the kind that was honest. Notice how your body reacted, the urge to explain, justify, or push back. That reaction is ego protecting its image. Everything. Emotional maturity pauses that instinct and asks a different question. Is there something here I can learn? People who master emotional control are not fragile. Everything. They are resilient because they do not need to defend an illusion of perfection. Disappointment may be the most common emotional test under pressure. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned. Everything. Goals take longer. People let you down. Effort does not always bring immediate reward. Disappointment can harden you or deepen you. Without emotional control, everything. Disappointment turns into bitterness. With it, disappointment becomes information. It teaches patience, realism, and endurance. There is a quiet strength in someone who can say, everything. This is not what I wanted, but I will adapt. That mindset keeps you moving forward when others stop. It allows you to adjust your expectations without abandoning your standards. Everything. Emotional control helps you grieve what did not happen while still showing up for what can. Everything. One of the most practical tools for emotional control is creating space between stimulus and response. Pressure shortens that space. Training yourself to pause, even for a few seconds. Everything can change everything. A slow breath. A question asked silently. What is the best response here? Not the loudest one. Over time, that pause becomes a habit. And habits, not intentions, everything shape character. Another powerful practice is naming what you feel without judgment. Instead of saying, I am failing, say, I feel anxious. Instead of, this is unfair, say, everything. I feel disappointed. Naming emotions grounds you. It reminds you that feelings are experiences, not identities. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. Everything. You are the one experiencing them, and that distinction restores control. Emotional maturity also grows through reflection after pressure has passed. Ask yourself what triggered you. Everything. What you handled well, and what you would do differently next time. Not with shame, but with curiosity. Every intense moment becomes training. Every challenge becomes feedback. Over time, everything. You begin to trust yourself under pressure because you have proven you can stay centered. People often underestimate how much emotional control influences success. Skills open doors, everything. But emotional maturity determines how long you stay in the room. Opportunities come with stress. Responsibility comes with criticism. Leadership comes with pressure. Everything. Without emotional control, success amplifies weakness. With it, success becomes sustainable. There is a calm confidence that develops when you know you can handle yourself. Everything. Not control the world, not control other people, but control your reactions. That confidence cannot be taken from you because it is internal. It does not depend on praise or certainty. Everything. It is built quietly, moment by moment, choice by choice. When life becomes intense, your goal is not to eliminate emotion, but to anchor yourself, to remain present. Everything. To remember who you are and what matters. Emotional control is not coldness. It is clarity. It allows you to act from values instead of impulses, from purpose instead of panic. Everything. And each time you choose composure over chaos, you strengthen the part of you that can carry greater responsibility, deeper trust, and more meaningful success. Everything. Success has a way of revealing who we truly are. Not who we claim to be, not who we appear to be on our best days, but who we become when responsibility gets heavier, expectations get higher. Everything. And the margin for excuses disappears. Many people dream of success as freedom, comfort, or validation. Very few think about success as trust. And yet, that is exactly what it is. Everything. Success is life saying, I trust you with more influence, more pressure, more consequences. And the real question is not whether you can reach success, everything, but whether success can trust you. Think about the people you admire most, the ones who sustain achievement over time. They are not perfect, but they are predictable in the best way. Everything. They show up. They keep their word. They don't collapse when things go wrong, and they don't become arrogant when things go right. They have become people success can lean on without fear. Everything. That didn't happen by accident. It happened because, long before success arrived, they shaped their identity around responsibility rather than reward. Many people change after they succeed. Everything. And that's often where things begin to fall apart. They become careless because they feel entitled. They become loud because they confuse confidence with ego. Everything. Or they become fearful because they know deep down that their foundation is weak. When success arrives before character is ready, it exposes cracks rather than strength. Everything. But when character comes first, success feels natural, almost calm, because the person holding it has already carried heavier internal weight. Everything. Becoming someone's success can trust begins with dependability. Not the dramatic kind that looks impressive, but the quiet kind that repeats itself daily. Everything. It's waking up when you said you would. It's finishing what you start, even when the excitement fades. It's doing the small things right without needing applause. Everything. Dependability is built in moments no one sees, and that's why it lasts. Life notices patterns long before it hands out opportunities. Think about a time when someone truly depended on you. Everything, maybe it was a family member, a colleague, or even a stranger who needed help. In that moment, something shifts inside you. You become more alert, more serious, more grounded. Everything. You don't act based on mood, you act based on duty. That same internal posture is what prepares you for success. Success doesn't want your enthusiasm. It wants your reliability. Everything. Then there is humility, which is often misunderstood. Humility is not thinking less of yourself. It's thinking of yourself clearly. Everything. It's knowing your strengths without worshiping them and recognizing your flaws without being ashamed of them. Humble people are teachable. They listen. They adjust. They grow. Everything. That's why success can trust them, because they don't assume they've arrived. They stay curious even when they're accomplished. You've probably seen what happens when humility disappears. Everything. A person stops listening. Feedback feels like an attack. Advice feels unnecessary. Slowly, mistakes multiply, not because the person lacks talent, but because they lack openness. Everything. Success does not abandon people suddenly. It slips away quietly when arrogance blocks growth. Staying humble is how you keep the door open for improvement long after recognition begins. Everything. Groundedness is the third pillar, and perhaps the most stabilizing. Being grounded means your sense of worth is not tied to outcomes. Wins don't inflate you, and losses don't destroy you. Everything. You understand that success is something you experience, not something you are. This inner stability allows you to make clear decisions under pressure. When things go well, you stay focused. Everything. When things go badly, you stay steady. A grounded person doesn't panic at setbacks or chase shortcuts. They trust the process because they trust themselves. Everything. They know that one failure doesn't define them, just as one victory doesn't crown them. This emotional maturity is rare, and it's exactly why success values it so highly. Success is heavy. Everything. Without grounding, it becomes overwhelming. There's a powerful shift that happens when you stop asking, "How do I get success?" and start asking, "Everything. Who do I need to become so success makes sense in my life?" That question changes your behavior. It changes how you treat people. It changes how you handle stress. Everything. It changes what you tolerate from yourself. You begin to live with standards instead of impulses. Real-life examples of this are everywhere, even if we don't always notice them. Everything. The manager who rises steadily because they treat everyone with respect, even when no one is watching. Everything. The entrepreneur who grows slowly but sustainably because they refuse to compromise their values. The artist who stays disciplined even when inspiration is low. Everything. Trusting that consistency will outlast motivation. These people didn't just chase success, they prepared for it. Actionable change begins with self-honesty. Everything. Ask yourself where you are reliable and where you are inconsistent, not with judgment, but with clarity. Look at how you respond to pressure. Do you complain, withdraw? Everything. Or take responsibility? Notice how you handle praise. Does it fuel gratitude or ego? These small observations reveal whether you are becoming someone success can trust. Everything. Another practical step is alignment. Make sure your daily habits match the future you want. Success does not appear suddenly. It recognizes familiar behavior. Everything. If your current actions wouldn't survive larger responsibility, that's not a failure, it's guidance. It's showing you what to strengthen now, while the stakes are still manageable. Everything. You also build trust with success by honoring time. Respect deadlines, your own and others. Respect rest so you don't burn out. Respect patience. Everything. Knowing that rushing often costs more than waiting. Time management is not just productivity, it's character in motion. Perhaps most importantly, everything. Learn to carry success internally before it shows up externally. Practice gratitude before abundance. Practice leadership before authority. Practice calm before chaos. Everything. When success finally arrives, it won't feel foreign. It will feel familiar, like something you've been training for all along. Everything. There is a quiet confidence that comes from this kind of preparation. It's not loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. Everything. It knows that whatever comes next can be handled with steadiness and integrity. That confidence is what people feel when they trust you. Everything. And that same confidence is what success looks for when deciding where to stay. You are not building character to impress the world. Everything. You are building it so the world doesn't overwhelm you when it opens its doors. Becoming someone success can trust is not about perfection. It's about consistency, humility, everything, and grounded strength practiced over time. And with each day you choose responsibility over ego and growth over comfort, you are quietly becoming ready not just to reach success, to carry it well.